If you're launching an offshore hedge fund, perhaps in the British Virgin Islands or another international jurisdiction, one of the biggest opportunities for capital is European investors. But raising money in Europe comes with strict regulatory rules. In this video, I'm going to explain how offshore hedge funds legally raise capital from European investors, introducing the key regulations in the European Union and the United Kingdom. Hey, it's Frank Nagy. Welcome to my channel where we help financial entrepreneurs grow their business in the financial markets. If you're new here, subscribe to my channel and hit that like button. European institutional and professional investors frequently allocate capital to offshore hedge funds for several reasons: access global strategies, tax-efficient structures, diversification outside the European markets, and exposure to specialized trading strategies. Many hedge funds structured in jurisdictions like the British Virgin Islands are specifically designed to accept non-US investors, including European family offices, wealth managers, and institutional allocators. However, accessing these investors requires compliance with the European market regulations. The main law governing hedge fund marketing in the European Union is the Alternative Investment Fund Managers Directive, commonly called AIFMD. AIFMD regulates how alternative investment funds, which include hedge funds, can be marketed to investors within the European Union member states. For offshore hedge funds, there is typically one main approach: the National Private Placement Regime, or the NPPR. Many offshore hedge funds rely on the National Private Placement Fund rules within the individual European Union countries. Under NPPR, funds can market to professional investors such as institutions, qualified wealth managers, who provide and comply with certain reporting disclosure requirements. Countries commonly use this approach include the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Denmark, and Sweden. Hiring experienced hedge fund consultant like Frank Nagy Financial Services will greatly reduce the burden of setting up your hedge fund or offshore broker-dealer. A good consultant will make the appropriate introductions with fund managers, administrators, auditors, attorneys, and banks that will help your hedge fund or offshore broker-dealer grow. A key point is that retail investors are generally off limits. Under EU rules, marketing is typically limited to professional investors such as pension funds, insurance companies, asset managers, family offices, and high net worth investors classified as professional clients. This classification comes from the Markets in the Financial Directive 2, commonly called MiFID II. The United Kingdom has its own regulatory framework. The Financial Conduct Authority, or the FCA, oversees the hedge fund marketing. Offshore hedge funds typically rely on the UK National Private Placement Regime, which allows marketing to professional investors if the fund registers with the FCA, submits regulatory filings, and provides investor disclosures. The UK market is attractive because London remains one of the world's largest fund investment hubs. Many offshore funds specifically target UK managers, institutional investors, hedge fund allocators, and multifamily offices. To reach European investors legally, offshore hedge funds often use private placement agents that specialize and are licensed to raise capital in Europe, investment advisors or distributors, family office networks and conferences, and reverse solicitation, where investors approach the fund independently. Raising capital in Europe can significantly expand your investment base, but it requires understanding AIFMD and MiFID II rules and the UK marketing rules. Most offshore hedge funds work with legal counsel, placement agents, and compliance specialists to ensure that they raise capital legally. If structured correctly, Europeans can become one of the largest sources of capital for an offshore hedge fund. Hey, if you'd like to learn more about Frank Nagy Financial Services and how we can help you set up your structure of a Forex fund, offshore US fund, or an offshore broker-dealer, click on the links below in the description box.